who's actually still voting for the Conservatives? I mean, literally, who is still voting for the Conservatives? Because if you are an immigration-obsessed numpty who is falling for the idea that people who inherited millions of pounds from their grandfather's property empire and are dedicated to policies that would improve the fortunes of people who inherited millions of pounds from their grandfather's property empire, then you're going to vote for the Farage faction, aren't you? You're going to vote for this Reform Party. So they got double figures, I think, in one or two, in both, possibly in both results yesterday. 10% in Kingswood, an increase of 10% in Kingswood, and 13% in Wellingborough. So if you're still clinging to the carcass of Brexit and you've been persuaded that the reason why your wife left you is because of immigration, then you're voting for Reform UK, yeah? So that is between 10 to 15%. That sort of quasi-fascist rump that we always talk about, the people who would vote for Donald Trump if he was running in the UK, the people who were drawn towards Nigel Farage during Brexit and still somehow don't hold him responsible for the fact that all the promises he made have come to nothing. They blame instead, I believe, Gary Lineker. That's 10 to 15% of an electorate. And I know by-elections aren't indicative of national trends, but that's 10 to 15%. You look at the Conservative results as opposed to the percentage changes, and you find yourself wondering how they secured any votes at all when you consider the catalogue of what they have presided over. And that, I think, is what we will do today. We've got two ways into this. The first is the question of who is still voting for the Conservatives. So your sort of mad Uncle Keith, who gets all his opinions off Facebook, he's gone Reform UK now. Who are the people that are still left voting for the Conservatives? Who actually are they? Because when you consider what they have done to this country, you find yourself concluding that they would surely either stay at home, hold their noses and vote for the Liberal Democrats or even the Labour Party, or actually, if they're properly following the facts, they would be drawn to a genuine and sincere vote for one of those parties instead. And that's the question that I've got for you first. So I want to make that list, okay? I want to make the list of the last 14 years, the last 14 years of Conservative rule, the list of what they've done. Okay, and I know I do this quite often and then forget all about it, but I don't know whether you've noticed, I'm getting a lot better. I'm getting a lot better at remembering to do things tomorrow that I said I would remember to do yesterday. And a decent list of the greatest hits of post-2010 Tories is the perfect way to queue up the question of who on earth is still voting for them. Who on earth is looking at what Liz Truss did and looking at what Jacob Rees-Mogg is and looking at the congregation of circumstances that allowed somebody like Nadine Dorries to become Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport? Who on earth is listening to Kemi Badenoch's ludicrous claims about non-existent trade deals somehow being game-changing commercial interventions? Looking at honest Bob Jenrick oscillating between positions according to which way the wind is blowing? Looking at Suella Braverman and her claims that we should be confiscating tents from homeless people, looking at any of these characters now and concluding, yep, that's the team I want to be in.